"Water!" gasped the giant Apache hunter, collapsing against the fence as two black women emerged from their ranch house, a tin cup trembling in weathered hands. The townsfolk of Copper Falls whispered that the Turner sisters were cursed, two widowed women surviving alone where decent folk feared to tread. Everyone knew their fate. The desert would claim them, or the Apache would finish what isolation started. But when the younger sister saw death approaching their doorstep, something stirred in her spirit that her practical older sister couldn't understand. Their single act of mercy would either forge the most unlikely alliance the territory had ever seen, or trigger a war that would consume everything they'd fought to protect. What they didn't know was that 300 warriors watched from the ridges, waiting to see what kind of people lived in the shadow of Apache lands. When dawn broke, would their compassion be rewarded, or would it seal their doom? Before we continue, comment where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will publish a story there. The desert sun beat down mercilessly on the Turner ranch as Eliza wiped sweat from her brow. 3 months had passed since the mining accident claimed both their husbands. 3 months of scraping by on dwindling supplies and broken dreams. Her younger sister Mara emerged from the failing vegetable garden, dirt caked under her fingernails. The crops were dying despite their best efforts. The well water ran lower each day. "Carlos should be here by now," Mara said, scanning the horizon for their Mexican trader friend. Eliza nodded grimly. Carlos was their lifeline to the outside world. The townspeople of Copper Falls had made it clear that two colored women had no business operating a ranch alone. A dust cloud appeared in the distance, but it wasn't Carlos. Squint Hardy rode toward them with 3 other men from town. Eliza's stomach tightened. Hardy never brought good news. The men dismounted without invitation. Hardy's weathered face twisted into what might have been a smile. "Ladies, we need to talk." "About what?" Eliza stepped protectively in front of Mara. "About you leaving." Hardy spat tobacco juice near her feet. "This land's too dangerous for women alone, especially your kind. This is our land legally." Hardy laughed. "Legal don't mean much out here. Apache been signaling in them hills. Smoke signals every day now. Your presence is stirring them up." Mara's hand found Eliza's arm. They both knew the Apache had always been in these mountains. The signals meant nothing new. "What do you really want, Hardy?" His eyes gleamed. "I'm offering to buy you out. Fair price. More than you'll get anywhere else. And if we refuse, then you take your chances with what's coming." Hardy remounted his horse. "1 week, ladies. Think it over." The men rode away, leaving the sisters in tense silence. Eliza knew Hardy wanted their land for the copper deposits underneath. The whole town knew it. That evening, Carlos finally arrived with his wagon of supplies. His usual cheerful demeanor was replaced by worry. "Señoras, there is trouble in town. People are afraid." "Of what?" Mara helped him unload flour and beans. "Of you. Hardy tells everyone you bring bad luck. That the Apache watched this place because of you." Carlos lowered his voice. "There was a meeting today. They speak of forcing you out." Eliza's jaw tightened. "Let them try. You must be careful. Hardy has many friends, and he has plans for this land." After Carlos left, the sisters sat on their porch as darkness fell. Smoke signals did rise from the distant mountains, but they always had. The Apache had never bothered them directly. "Maybe we should consider leaving," Mara whispered. "And go where? We have nothing else." "We have each other." Eliza reached for her sister's hand. "We stay. This is our home now." The next morning brought new troubles. Their remaining chickens had been scattered, their fence posts knocked down. Someone had visited during the night with malicious intent. Mara discovered their water barrel had been punctured. Precious water leaked into the dry earth. "Hardy's work," Eliza muttered, examining the damage. By afternoon, exhaustion and heat had drained both women. Eliza hammered fence posts while Mara attempted to salvage their garden. The Apache signals continued from the mountains, thin columns of smoke against the blue sky. "At least someone's watching over us," Mara said, nodding toward the peaks. "Or watching us," Eliza replied. The sun reached its peak when a shadow fell across their yard. Both sisters looked up to see a figure approaching from the desert. The man was enormous, taller than any person Eliza had ever seen, with broad shoulders and long black hair. His Apache clothing marked him as one of the mountain people, but something was wrong. He stumbled. His steps grew unsteady. 20 yards from their fence, he collapsed to his knees. "Water," he gasped, the word barely audible. Mara started toward him immediately. Eliza grabbed her arm. "Wait, think about what this means. He's dying. And helping him could get us killed." Mara looked at the giant Apache, then at her sister. "Since when do we let people die?" She pulled free and ran to their well. Eliza watched her sister's retreating form, then the suffering man, then the mountains where smoke signals continued to rise. Every instinct screamed danger. Helping this Apache would confirm every suspicion Hardy had planted in town. It would justify whatever action they planned to take, but watching him die would destroy something inside them both. Mara returned with a tin cup full of precious water. She approached the giant warrior without fear, kneeling beside him as she offered the cup. He drank deeply, his dark eyes studying both women. When finished, he stood slowly to his full, impressive height. For a long moment, he simply looked at them. Then he nodded once and disappeared into the desert as silently as he had come. The sisters stood together, watching his retreating form vanish among the rocks and sagebrush. "What have we done?" Eliza whispered. Neither woman slept well that night. The desert seemed unusually quiet. Even the coyotes had fallen silent. When dawn broke across the Turner Ranch, Eliza opened her door to begin another day of survival. Instead, she found herself staring at an impossible sight that would change everything they thought they knew about their world. 300 Apache warriors surrounded the Turner Ranch in perfect silence. Eliza's hand froze on the door handle. Every direction she looked revealed mounted figures positioned along the ridges, in the valleys, behind rock formations. They had appeared like ghosts in the night. Mara joined her sister on the porch, both women staring at the impossible sight. The warriors made no threatening moves. They simply watched. "Are we prisoners?" Mara whispered. "I don't know." The Apache sat motionless on their horses. No war paint, no raised weapons, just patient observation that stretched through the morning hours. By midday, dust clouds appeared from the direction of Copper Falls. 3 riders approached at full gallop, stopping well outside the Apache perimeter. Even from a distance, Eliza recognized Hardy's distinctive slouch in the saddle. The town scouts studied the scene through spyglasses before turning back toward Copper Falls. Within hours, more riders would spread word of the siege. "This confirms everything Hardy said about us," Eliza muttered. The sisters rationed their remaining water and food. If this standoff continued, they would face serious shortages within days. But the Apache showed no signs of leaving. On the second day, smoke signals increased from the surrounding mountains. More warriors arrived to join the silent vigil. The Turner Ranch had become the center of the largest Apache gathering in decades. Mara noticed something odd about their watchers. Despite their numbers, the warriors maintained respectful distances from the house. They made no attempt to approach or intimidate. "They're not acting like enemies," she observed. "Then what do they want?" The answer came on the third morning when a white flag appeared among the Apache ranks. The giant warrior they had helped emerged from the group, walking slowly toward their fence. He stopped at the same spot where he had collapsed 3 days earlier. Up close, his size was even more impressive, but his eyes held intelligence rather than hostility. "You speak English," he said, his voice carrying easily across the yard. Both sisters stepped forward cautiously. Eliza nodded. "I am called Taza by your people, but that is not my true name." He studied their faces carefully before continuing. "Among my people, I am Ayana. I walk between the world of men and women. I serve as both warrior and spiritual guide." Mara's eyes widened with understanding. She had heard stories of two-spirit people among various tribes, but never met one. The water you gave me was not just kindness, it was part of an ancient test. Eliza found her voice. What kind of test? We watch the boundaries of our territory. When strangers cross our lands, we observe their hearts. Some show cruelty, others show fear, but rarely do we find those who show pure compassion. Ayanna gestured toward the assembled warriors. Your offering of water triggered the sacred trial. We must now determine if you are worthy of alliance or if you will betray us to your people. Alliance? Mara stepped closer to the fence. For generations, my people have sought those who might bridge the gap between our worlds. You showed kindness without expectation of reward. This marks you as potential allies. Eliza's practical mind raced. What does this trial involve? Time, observation, and ultimately, choice. Ayanna's expression grew serious. Your people in the town gather weapons. They plan to rescue you from what they believe is captivity. When they come, you must choose your loyalty. How long do we have? Days, perhaps a week. That evening, Chief Many Vows himself arrived. The distinguished elder approached with Ayanna, both moving with ceremonial dignity. The chief spoke in Apache, with Ayanna translating. He says you have already begun to pass the test. Most would have called for help by now. Most would have shown fear or anger at our presence. Mara surprised everyone by responding in broken Apache. Years of listening to various tribal traders had taught her fragments of several languages. The chief's eyebrows rose. He spoke again, this time directly to Mara. He asks if you wish to learn our ways while the trial continues. Both sisters exchanged glances. This was an unprecedented opportunity. What would that mean? Eliza asked. You would be welcomed into our camp, given Apache names, taught our customs, but you would also be watched constantly. And if we refuse, then you remain in your house, and we remain outside. The test continues either way. Mara spoke first. I want to learn. Eliza studied her sister's face. For the first time since their husbands' deaths, Mara's eyes held genuine hope. Both of us, Eliza decided. Ayanna smiled. Then come. Your education begins now. The sisters gathered essential belongings and crossed their own fence line. Apache women immediately surrounded Mara, chattering in their language while examining her dress and hair. An elderly medicine woman touched Mara's forehead and spoke rapidly to the chief. She says you have the sight, Ayanna translated. The gift of understanding beyond normal senses. What does that mean? You will learn. Eliza found herself approached by Apache men who seemed impressed by her direct manner of speaking. They tested her knowledge of practical matters like water conservation and food storage. They respect your wisdom, Ayanna explained. Leadership qualities are valued regardless of gender. As the sun set, both sisters sat around Apache fires for the first time in their lives. The warriors who had seemed so threatening from a distance now shared food and stories. Why are you really doing this? Eliza asked Ayanna quietly. Because war is coming whether we want it or not. Your people fear us. Our young warriors grow angry at being pushed from ancestral lands, but perhaps 2 women who showed kindness to a stranger might help us find another path. In the distance, more dust clouds appeared on the horizon. Hardy's militia was mobilizing faster than expected. The Apache women gave Mara her new name at sunrise on the 4th day. Kimimela, the medicine woman announced, touching Mara's shoulder. It means butterfly, one who transforms. Eliza received hers from the warriors who had tested her practical knowledge. Ayanna calls you Itzel, Chief Many Vows said through his translator. Moon goddess, one who brings light to darkness. For the first time in their lives, the sisters felt truly welcomed somewhere. Mara threw herself into learning Apache customs with surprising natural ability. The medicine women taught her to identify healing plants that grew wild around the ranch. She had always known these plants existed, but never understood their power. Her grandmother's old remedies suddenly made new sense. The Cherokee blood from 3 generations back had left traces of knowledge in her family line. Your ancestors knew these ways, the medicine woman explained in broken English. The knowledge sleeps in your blood. Mara's hands moved instinctively when preparing herbal treatments. The Apache women nodded approvingly as she ground roots and mixed tinctures without instruction. Within days, she was treating minor injuries among the younger warriors. Her touch seemed to calm pain in ways that surprised even experienced healers. Eliza discovered her own unexpected talents among the Apache leadership. Her years as a schoolteacher had prepared her for more than she realized. The war chiefs appreciated her logical approach to problems. When they discussed patrol routes and supply management, she offered insights that proved valuable. "You think like a strategist," Ayana observed. "This is rare among your people." "I taught children for 10 years. Planning and organizing became second nature." Her ability to learn languages quickly impressed the tribal elders. Within a week, she could conduct basic conversations in Apache. Her classroom experience had trained her ear for pronunciation and grammar patterns. The warriors began consulting her about settler behavior and military tactics. Her knowledge of how white communities functioned proved invaluable for defensive planning, but tension grew within the Apache ranks as more scouts reported activity from Copper Falls. Some younger warriors questioned the wisdom of trusting outsiders. They argued that all whites eventually betrayed Apache hospitality. "These women will call for rescue when their people come," one hothead insisted during a council meeting. Chief Manyvows silenced the dissent with a raised hand. "The test continues. We watch and learn." On the 7th day, Ayana approached both sisters with grave news. "Our scouts report large movements from your town. Many men, many weapons." "How many?" Eliza asked. "Perhaps 50. Maybe more." Mara looked up from the healing poultice she was preparing. "They think we're prisoners." "Are we?" Eliza studied Ayana's face carefully. "That depends entirely on choices you have not yet made." The Apache camp began subtle preparations for potential conflict. Warriors checked weapons and equipment. Scouts positioned themselves along likely approach routes, but no one spoke of attack, only defense. "We do not seek war," Chief Manyvows explained through Ayana, "but we will protect ourselves and our guests." That evening, both sisters sat with the chief around his fire. Other tribal leaders joined them for what felt like a final council. "Tomorrow or the next day your people will come," the chief said in careful English. "They will see you living among us freely. They will demand your return." "And then?" Eliza asked. "Then you choose. Go with them or stay with us. But know this, if you go, the peace dies. If you stay, war may still come, but perhaps we find another way." Mara spoke without hesitation. "We stay." Eliza nodded agreement. "This is where we belong now." Chief Manyvows smiled sadly. "Easy words in peaceful darkness. Harder choice when you face neighbors with guns." The Apache women had grown especially attached to Mara. They saw her spiritual gifts developing rapidly under proper guidance. "She has power," the medicine woman told Eliza privately. "Rare power. We have not seen such gifts in one so young for many seasons." Mara's healing abilities seemed to strengthen daily. Warriors sought her out for treatments that previously required the oldest medicine people. More significantly, she had begun experiencing visions during meditation, brief glimpses of future events that proved accurate when they unfolded. "Yesterday she saw the hawk that brought news from the Eastern Scouts," Ayana explained. She described it perfectly before it arrived. Eliza watched her sister with growing amazement. Mara had always been intuitive, but Apache training was awakening something extraordinary. The warriors respected Eliza's strategic mind and diplomatic skills. They began including her in planning sessions that typically excluded all women. "You understand both worlds," one war chief explained. "This makes you valuable beyond measure." Her suggestions for peaceful resolution carried weight even among the most militant Apache. They recognized her genuine commitment to avoiding bloodshed. but scouts brought increasingly urgent reports throughout the day. "The white men have contacted the cavalry," Ayana reported grimly. "Soldiers will join the townspeople." "How do you know?" "We have friends among the Mexican traders. They carry messages between all peoples." Chief Many Vows called an emergency council as the sun reached its peak. "Our scouts count over 100 armed men approaching, both cavalry and townspeople. They will arrive before tomorrow's sunset." The war chiefs argued for immediate dispersal, scatter the tribe before the attack came. But Chief Many Vows raised his hand for silence. "We do not run from our own lands, and we do not abandon guests who have honored us with their presence." He turned to both sisters. "Final choice comes now. Stand with your people, or stand with ours. But understand the consequences. There may be no path back from what happens next." Eliza and Mara exchanged a long look. Everything they had ever known lay in one direction. Everything they had discovered about themselves lay in the other. The sound of distant drums began echoing from the approaching force. The Apache scouts returned with information that changed everything. 3 riders approached the camp under a white flag just after dawn. These were not townspeople or cavalry, but Mexican traders who served as neutral messengers between all groups in the territory. Carlos led the group, his face grim with urgent news. "Señoras, I bring warning from friends in many places." Chief Many Vows gestured for Ayana to translate as Carlos continued in rapid Spanish mixed with English. "Hardy has made deal with the cavalry commander." "But not the deal people think." Eliza felt ice form in her stomach. "What kind of deal?" "He tells the soldiers this gathering is perfect chance to eliminate Apache threat forever. Use your ranch as bait to trap all warriors in one place." Mara stepped closer. "Bait for what?" "Massacre," Carlos said quietly. "Hardy convinces commander that rescue mission is really military opportunity. Surround and destroy entire Apache force." Ayana's face hardened as he translated for Chief Many Vows. The old chief's expression remained calm, but his knuckles whitened around his staff. "There is more," Carlos continued. "Hardy tells people in town that you are already dead, killed by Apache on first day. He says bodies will be found after battle." The full scope of Hardy's betrayal became clear. He had never intended to rescue them. The sisters were expendable obstacles to his real goal. "The copper deposits," Eliza breathed. "Sigh. With Apache eliminated and you dead, Hardy claims all this land legally. Mining rights worth thousands of dollars." Chief Many Vows spoke sharply in Apache. Warriors throughout the camp began moving with new purpose. "He asks if your people in town know of this betrayal," Ayana translated. Carlos shook his head. "Most believe they ride to rescue mission. Only Hardy and cavalry commander know true plan." "How long do we have?" Eliza asked. "They march at sunset. We'll arrive before dawn tomorrow." The Apache leadership huddled in urgent conference. Voices rose as various chiefs debated response options. Some advocated immediate retreat to mountain strongholds. Others demanded preemptive strike against the approaching force. But Chief Many Vows raised his hand for silence. "We do not become what they claim we are," he said in English, speaking directly to the sisters. "We find third path." Ayana stepped forward. "There is possibility for justice without warfare, but it requires great courage from all involved." "What do you mean?" Mara asked. "We expose Hardy's lies before blood is spilled. Show the townspeople truth of his betrayal." Eliza's strategic mind immediately grasped the plan's potential. Use their own people against them. Exactly. But success depends on perfect timing and great risk. Chief Many Vows explained the strategy through Ayana's translation. The Apache would position themselves defensively but visibly around the ranch. No hiding, no ambush preparation. Clear evidence of peaceful intent. When Hardy's force arrived expecting to find a besieged ranch, they would instead discover the sisters healthy and unharmed, clearly allied with Apache by choice. "We tell truth before they can tell lies," Chief Many Vows said. "Show townspeople they have been deceived about everything." The plan required the sisters to act as mediators between 2 armed groups who expected battle. One wrong word or misunderstood gesture could trigger the massacre Hardy wanted. You understand the danger? Ayanna asked both women. Eliza nodded grimly. We become shields between two armies. More than shields, Chief Manyvows corrected. You become voices for truth in place built on lies. Mara surprised everyone by speaking in fluent Apache she had absorbed over the past week. Her words brought nods of approval from the tribal elders. She says her spirit dreams showed her this moment, Ayanna translated. She saw herself standing between two peoples, bringing light to darkness. The name you gave me, Eliza realized. Itzel, moon goddess who brings light to darkness. Names have power, Chief Manyvows agreed. Sometimes they reveal destiny we cannot yet see. Throughout the day, Apache warriors prepared for the most dangerous peace negotiation in tribal history. Weapons were cleaned and ready but positioned defensively. War paint remained unused. No battle cries or intimidation displays. Instead, the camp took on ceremonial appearance. This would be diplomacy, not warfare. The medicine women prepared Mara for her role as spiritual mediator. Special herbs to calm hostile emotions. Ritual cleansing to purify intentions. Eliza worked with the war chiefs to plan negotiation strategy. Every possible response to Hardy's manipulations required careful consideration. He will claim we are captives forced to speak under threat, she predicted. Then we must show evidence of free choice, Ayanna replied. As afternoon faded toward evening, scouts reported the approaching force had stopped to make camp 5 miles away. They wait for dawn attack as planned, the lead scout reported. Chief Manyvows gathered both sisters for final instructions. Tomorrow, we attempt something never done before, peace through revelation of truth rather than victory through strength. And if it fails? Eliza asked. Then we die with honor instead of living with shame. The Apache camp settled into watchful quiet as darkness fell. Warriors maintained alert positions while trying to rest before the crucial confrontation. Mara spent the night in meditation with the medicine women. Her visions had grown stronger and clearer throughout their time with the tribe. I see 2 paths, she reported to Eliza just before dawn. One leads to much blood and sorrow. The other leads to something new being born. Which path do we take? That depends on choices not yet made by people not yet ready to choose. The first light of dawn revealed dust clouds on the horizon. Hardy's combined force of townspeople and cavalry was approaching exactly as planned. Chief Manyvows took his position at the center of the Apache formation. Ayanna stood beside him, ready to translate between worlds. The Turner sisters walked forward to meet their fate, knowing they carried the hopes of 2 peoples in their hands. The combined force of townspeople and cavalry crested the hill at sunrise, expecting to find a battlefield. Instead, they discovered the Turner sisters standing calmly beside Chief Manyvows, clearly unharmed and free to move. Hardy rode at the front of the civilian group, his face twisting with rage at the unexpected sight. Behind him, confused townspeople lowered their weapons as they processed what they were seeing. Captain Morrison of the cavalry held up his hand, halting the military column. This was not the desperate rescue scenario Hardy had described. Eliza stepped forward, her voice carrying clearly across the morning air. We appreciate your concern, but as you can see, we are in no danger. Murmurs rippled through the assembled townspeople. Many had risked their lives believing the sisters were captives or already dead. Hardy spurred his horse forward. Don't listen to them. They're being forced to say this. By whom? Mara challenged, gesturing to the Apache warriors who remained in defensive positions. No one is threatening us. Chief Manyvows spoke in English, his words deliberate and clear. We came to test the hearts of these women. They have proven worthy of our respect and friendship. Captain Morrison studied the scene with professional military eyes. No signs of coercion or hostility from the Apache. No evidence of the imminent attack Hardy had described. Mr. Hardy, you reported an ongoing siege with American lives in immediate danger. It's a trick, Hardy insisted. They're trying to confuse you. Eliza seized the moment. Captain, may I ask what Mr. Hardy told you about our situation? He reported that Apache raiders had taken you hostage and were using your ranch as a staging ground for attacks on the territory. And what did he suggest as the solution? Captain Morrison's eyes narrowed slightly. A coordinated military response to eliminate the threat. All of it? Mara asked pointedly. Every single Apache? The captain's silence confirmed the scope of Hardy's proposed massacre. Townspeople began looking at Hardy with new suspicion. They had come to rescue neighbors, not participate in wholesale slaughter. Tom Watson, the blacksmith, spoke up from the civilian ranks. Squint, you said they were already dead. Said we were coming to recover bodies and punish the killers. I said probably dead, Hardy backtracked. Can't trust Apache to keep prisoners alive. But we're not prisoners, Eliza stated firmly. We've been guests, learning their customs, sharing knowledge, building understanding. You've been brainwashed, Hardy snarled. Stockholm Syndrome. They've turned you against your own people. Ayana stepped forward, towering over the mounted men. These women chose to stay when they could have left. No force, no threats. Only invitation to learn different way of living. More murmurs from the townspeople. The Apache's peaceful demeanor contradicted every story Hardy had spread about savage raiders. Dr. Henderson from Copper Falls dismounted and approached the sisters. May I examine you both? Ensure you haven't been harmed? Of course. The elderly doctor checked both women thoroughly while the assembled forces watched. No signs of injury, maltreatment, or coercion. They appear healthy and unharmed, he announced to both groups. Hardy's face reddened. This proves nothing. They're obviously collaborating with the enemy. Enemy? Chief Manyvows asked calmly. We have attacked no settlements, raided no ranches, harmed no people. Captain Morrison addressed the chief directly. What are your intentions regarding this territory? Peace, if possible. Coexistence with those who show respect for our lands and customs. And if peace is not possible, then we defend ourselves as any people would. The captain nodded, recognizing honest military assessment rather than hostile threat. Tom Watson spoke again, his voice carrying growing anger. Squint, you got us out here under false pretenses. Made us think our neighbors were dying. Other townspeople voiced similar complaints. They had left businesses and families to rescue the Turner sisters, only to discover no rescue was needed. Hardy desperately tried to regain control of the situation. Don't you understand? They're planning to attack the town. This whole thing is a setup. With what army? Eliza gestured to the Apache warriors. They're defending their camp, not preparing for assault. Captain Morrison studied the Apache positions with professional expertise. Defensive formation, not offensive deployment. Mr. Hardy, your intelligence appears to have been inaccurate. They're lying to you. All of them. Mara stepped forward, her newfound confidence evident. Captain, may I suggest you speak with Carlos, our Mexican trader friend? He moves freely between all communities and can verify our treatment here. Carlos emerged from the Apache camp, his presence shocking the townspeople who knew him well. Senor Captain, these ladies speak truth. Apache show them only kindness and respect. You see? Hardy pointed accusingly. He's part of it too. Mexican traders always side with Indians against Americans. The racial undertone of Hardy's words struck several townspeople as ugly and inappropriate. Reverend Phillips from the town church shook his head. Squint, this isn't what we agreed to. We came to help our neighbors, not start a war. Sometimes war finds you whether you want it or not, Hardy replied desperately. Chief Manyvows spoke with quiet dignity. We did not seek this confrontation. Your people came to our peaceful camp with weapons and threats. Captain Morrison made his decision. Mr. Hardy, based on the evidence before me, there is no military threat requiring intervention. I'm withdrawing my forces. You can't do that. Think of the copper deposits under this land. The words slipped out before Hardy could stop them. Captain Morrison's eyes went cold. What did you say about copper deposits? Hardy realized his mistake too late. The assembled townspeople stared at him with new understanding. Dr. Henderson voiced what many were thinking. Squint, did you get us out here so you could claim this land? Hardy's slip about the copper deposits shattered his credibility completely. Tom Watson dismounted and walked directly to the disgraced land grabber. "You son of a gun. You used us. Made us think we were saving lives when really you wanted to steal land." Other townspeople joined Watson, their faces showing betrayal and anger. They had risked everything based on Hardy's lies. Captain Morrison's voice cut through the growing chaos. "Mr. Hardy, you deliberately provided false intelligence to military forces. That's a federal offense." Hardy tried to backtrack. "I was protecting American interests. These deposits could make the whole territory prosperous." "By murdering innocent people?" Reverend Phillips stepped forward. "Apache and our neighbors alike?" The moral weight of Hardy's scheme became clear to everyone present. He had planned to use their rescue mission as cover for massacre and land theft. Chief Many Vows spoke with quiet authority. This man's greed would have brought war to all our peoples. Many would have died for his profit. Dr. Henderson examined the sisters again, this time checking for signs of coercion to speak against Hardy. "These women are acting of their own free will," he announced. "No one is forcing them to say anything." Captain Morrison addressed both communities. "I propose we establish formal terms for peaceful coexistence. No more misunderstandings or manufactured conflicts." Chief Many Vows nodded agreement. "We accept this proposal." Eliza stepped forward as natural mediator. The Turner Ranch could serve as neutral meeting ground for future discussions. "Agreed," the chief replied. Tom Watson looked ashamed. "Ladies, we owe you an apology. We believed Hardy's stories without questioning them." "You came here to help us," Mara said gently. "That speaks well of your hearts." Several townspeople dismounted to speak directly with Apache warriors. Initial fear gave way to curiosity about their peaceful neighbors. Hardy made one last desperate attempt to salvage his scheme. "You're all making a mistake. These savages will turn on you the moment they have advantage." Chief Many Vows responded with dignity that shamed Hardy's racism. "We judge people by their actions, not their fears." Captain Morrison ordered his sergeant to place Hardy under military arrest. "You'll face charges for providing false intelligence and attempting to incite unnecessary warfare." As soldiers led Hardy away, he shouted threats and curses that only further disgusted the townspeople. With the immediate crisis resolved, both communities began discussing practical arrangements. Dr. Henderson offered to provide medical services to Apache families in exchange for knowledge of their healing practices. Tom Watson expressed interest in trading metalwork for Apache craftsmanship. Reverend Phillips surprisingly found common ground with Apache spiritual leaders about caring for the land and community. Captain Morrison established formal protocols for communication between Apache leadership and territorial authorities. Chief Many Vows presented both sisters with sacred necklaces, marking them as permanent friends of the Apache people. "You risked everything to stand for truth when lies would have been easier," he said in English. Eliza accepted the honor with appropriate ceremony. "We simply chose what felt right in our hearts." Sometimes that is the hardest choice of all. Over the following weeks, the Turner Ranch transformed into exactly what Eliza had envisioned. A neutral trading post where both communities could interact safely. Mara established herself as a bridge between Apache medicine women and frontier doctors. Her unique combination of intuitive gifts and formal training proved invaluable. She treated injuries and illnesses from both communities, earning respect as a healer who transcended cultural boundaries. Eliza organized regular meetings between Apache leaders and territorial representatives. Her teaching background helped her facilitate discussions and resolve disputes. The ranch became a center of cultural exchange that benefited everyone involved. Apache families traded craftsmanship and knowledge for manufactured goods and medical supplies. Townspeople learned sustainable farming techniques and natural remedies from Apache elders. Children from both communities played together during trading sessions, forming friendships that promised future peace. Carlos expanded his trading operations, bringing goods from across the territory to the neutral ground. "You have created something beautiful here," he told the sisters. "A place where enemies become friends." Captain Morrison visited monthly to ensure the agreements remained stable. He found the arrangement so successful that he recommended similar programs throughout the territory. The copper deposits remained untouched by mutual agreement. Both communities recognized that some things mattered more than mineral wealth. Dr. Henderson documented Apache medical knowledge with their permission, creating the first formal record of indigenous healing practices in the territory. Reverend Phillips began incorporating Apache respect for nature into his sermons, finding that environmental stewardship resonated with his congregation. Tom Watson's metalwork improved dramatically after learning Apache techniques for working with local ores. As autumn arrived, both sisters reflected on how dramatically their lives had changed. "Do you ever regret staying?" Eliza asked as they watched mixed groups of children playing in their yard. Mara smiled, her hands busy preparing medicines for the evening clinic. "How could I regret finding my true purpose?" The sacred necklaces they wore marked them as something unprecedented in the territory, women who belonged fully to neither community while serving both. Ayanna visited regularly, continuing to guide Mara's spiritual development while discussing strategy with Eliza. "You have proven that courage comes in many forms," she told them. "Sometimes the bravest act is offering water to a stranger." Chief Manyvows often joined their evening meals, sharing stories of Apache history while learning about the wider world beyond their traditional territories. "Change comes whether we welcome it or not," he observed. "You have shown us how to guide change toward wisdom rather than destruction." As winter approached, the Turner Ranch stood as proof that understanding could triumph over fear, that compassion could build bridges across any divide. The sisters had found their true home not in a place, but in a purpose that served something larger than themselves. Every sunset brought new visitors, new friendships, new hope for a future built on respect rather than suspicion. The giant Apache hunter who had collapsed at their fence seeking water had given them far more than they could ever have imagined. He had given them the chance to become who they were truly meant to be.